It's January 4th, 2010, and another remarkable event is about to be uncovered by Arion, Rebecca, and Olly, the Retrospectors.
Just before the pandemic hit, I stopped off in Dubai on a trip back to Australia, and it was actually the first time I've ever got out there. And at my hotel room, I was shown some aerial photos of the city in the 1970s, and honestly, back then, it was pretty much just desert with a few scattered buildings, which makes it all the more astonishing that just 50 years later, Dubai now boasts a skyline adorned with record-breaking skyscrapers, the most mighty among which is the tallest building in the world by quite some margin, the Burj Khalifa, which held its glittering grand opening today in history in 2010.
And it began with lavish celebrations. The opening ceremony included the launch of 10,000 fireworks, which is too many fireworks.
It is so many fireworks, actually, that the whole building is like engulfed in smoke and you can't see it anymore.
But also, like, if there were actually 6,000 fireworks,
right?
Who could tell?
Yeah, just tell them.
Once you get beyond, say, 750 fireworks, it's however many fireworks you tell me it is.
I mean, I think it's very representative of the fluctuating fortunes of Dubai that just a month before this opening ceremony, the city had come perilously close to bankruptcy.
Yes. In fact, on this day in history, the building was named the Burj Khalifa, as well as being opened. And that was in honour of Sheik Khalifa, the Emir of Abu Dhabi, because he had to intervene to give Dubai a $10 billion loan to help head off the country's imminent financial collapse because they'd spent money on vanities like this. So it's a highly symbolic day. Like, you know, it's both the optimism for the Arab world to compete with China and America. Look at this tall thing we can build. We're just as good as everyone else. But also just incredible hubris. I mean, it is literally built on sand.
And amid all of that pageantry of, like, sword dancing and parachuters coming in and balloons being released and fountains lighting up, you do have this moment where Sheikh Khalifa is led by the hand to unveil the plaque. I guess because everyone's there going, this just would not have happened had you not come and rescued our asses.
Yeah. Did someone hastily tip X out? Because it was going to be called Burj Dubai, which means Dubai Tower.
It was such a painful renaming as well, because it was going to be the centrepiece of the new downtown district, which itself was supposed to be a symbol of Dubai's departure from this oil-centred economy. So to have it being renamed in order of the guy who'd had to bail it out, it seems like it must have been... And they really left it to the last minute to announce as well. I mean, they must have known, you know, they were using his money, so they must have known much earlier that that's what they were going to have to rename it. But the contemporary press reports of the opening ceremony kind of mentioned that, you know, they almost sound kind of baffled. They're like, oh, and also it apparently has a new name.
I mean, there are so many things that weren't mentioned until the last minute, almost surprisingly, including the building's height. And I guess I understand that in the context of the bizarre world of competitive tallest building construction. But right up until the last minute, they didn't actually announce that. And there were stories circulating about the Indian on top of the world, which speculated that the guy who operated the sort of highest bit of the highest crane was this Indian guy who is both paid a king's ransom and then also granted honorary citizenship of the UAE. But actually that was just a sort of mask of a story to hide the fact that this whole business of how the building was going up at the very top was kind of shrouded in mystery.
So I feel someone needs to reel off the stats, so I'm going to do it, right? It's 828 metres tall, that's 2,715 feet, that's just over half a mile, 160 stories tall. But when you realise that the top few stories are uninhabited spike, you know, a bit like the Shard, it's actually not that much taller than Shanghai Tower when you look at it. When you look at what's the tallest inhabited floor, it's not as impressive as you think it might be when you just look at the statistics. So I think that's why they fudged it.
Yeah, that's 244 metres of unusable space in the spire. The spire is so huge that on its own it would be one of the tallest buildings in Europe. It's a standalone structure. I was wondering, how would you go about making the spire? I mean, it's not like there's a crane that's going to be tall enough to pop it on the top. So apparently they constructed it inside the tower and it was hoisted up using a hydraulic pump so that it would sit on the top. A lot of people in the architecture industry do feel like big spires are cheating. Without the spire, the Burj Khalifa would be 585 metres tall, which would still make it the 6th tallest building in the world. But this did get me thinking, how important is being tall really? Like,
you're asking too tall, man. We're going to say very.
It matters from up here.
Look, if you're not 585 metres tall, I'm not interested. But if you look at the list of the 10 tallest buildings in the world, you'd know maybe 3 of them. Like, if you're not the tallest, why even bother?
But at the top of the building, like the topmost occupied level, apparently receives sunshine a good 2 minutes later than a person down at ground level. So during Ramadan, people have to, like, if you're living at the top level, you have to end your fast later than were you on the ground.
Oh, that's brilliant. So if you've got a pasty in hand on the ground floor and you can quickly hop to the elevator, you can finish it before sunset.
I mean, and this is useful information if you're a member of the world's highest mosque, which is on floor 158.
Yep, world's highest mosque, highest swimming pool, tallest service elevator, highest outdoor observation deck, although that's been trumped since, highest vertical concrete pumping during construction, and location of the world's first Armani hotel.
And the obvious record it broke, obviously, was that it became the tallest building in the world, surpassing the Taipei 101 and the Sears Tower, but it also became the tallest structure in the world, beating the KVLY TV mast in Blanchard, North Dakota.
Just while we're doing stats, I just want to do one last weird one, which is that the foundations, I thought, okay, the foundations are going to be incredibly deep, obviously, to support this massive building. But the mat is just 3.7 meters thick. And I was like, that just probably just highlights the fact that I really don't understand anything about engineering.
The reason that it doesn't sink into the sand is because that mat is essentially like a giant snowshoe. So it takes the weight and balances it across all 3 pillars, but then also underneath is an incredible amount of friction. So there's 194 concrete shafts underneath that, which is all that's preventing it from toppling over. Like, there's nothing in the structure of the building that is stopping it from toppling over. Although, what is really clever as well is the shape of the floor plate then constantly changes as it goes up. So the reason it has that odd shape, the reason it's not just a straight tower, is because big towers have a problem with wind. Like, they get hit by whirlpools and vectors of wind. So what the architects did is kind of confuse the wind, basically, by creating different surfaces and shapes. So when the wind hits the building, it's only ever for 20 or 30 stories at a time, and then the shape changes again, so you can't push it.
Which, by the way, makes it significantly more visually interesting. I mean, were it just a single line, it just wouldn't do aesthetically what it does, given that kind of stepping in that goes on.
Yeah, and apparently the spiral shapes are also supposed to reflect a feature of traditional Islamic architecture. Although I feel like when you're building a tower like this, it's like you're not really harking to traditional anything. You know what I mean?
It's not made with sustainable materials. It's glass, steel, and concrete. It has no economic use. I mean, it's still 30% empty, this building. It was just this enormous statement of money, really. And then, of course, the other thing that was kind of reported in the places you'd expect, like The Guardian at the time, has increasingly become part of the conversation, is how the immigrant labourers who mostly built the thing were treated. And the answer to that is badly, or at least, you know, round the clock and with not the kind of unionised support that you might expect if they were building it in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, you'll often see the statistics about the construction, that it took 110,000 tonnes of concrete, 55,000 tonnes of steel. But the other statistic is that it took 22 million hours of labour to construct, mostly by an army of 12,000 workers, most of them, as you say, South Asians. Officially, there were only 3 deaths during the construction, but some sources suggest that there were actually hundreds.
Especially considering that the Shard in London involved 4 deaths. 5 people died officially in the construction of the Empire State Building. 60 people died in the building of the World Trade Center. It does feel as though if you're not a place that's reputed for treating your workers terribly well, probably more people died during the construction of that than they have let on about.
And yet, extraordinarily, despite all those labour hours, it doesn't have a working sewage system. It's still, at the time of recording, not hooked up to Dubai's wastewater system.
What? Just chuck it out the window.
So every day there's this enormous flotilla of poo trucks, basically, that come and pick it up in convoy.
Wow, that's amazing.
And ship it out.
There's so many considerations that immediately present themselves when you're trying to build a building that's this absurdly large. One of the other ones that I was interested in was the fact that, like, fire safety-wise, if you don't want to put people in elevators and there's a fire near the top, how do you get them out? So what they've done is they've created these pressurized, air-conditioned refuge areas that are located around every 25 floors throughout the building. So if there's a fire, you just have to go and sit in one of these things and wait, which I must say I would be feeling absolutely like panicked about if I just had to sit and hope that the building didn't fall over.
Is there an Omani refuge area?
That's the one to be in, definitely.
Coated in gold leaf, good air conditioning, you'd be fine.
Tomorrow.
And I'm not saying she had a drab small town life, but she was literally working as a diner waitress in a town called Cement City.
Ditch the ads and get a Sunday episode when you join Club Retrospectors. Subscribe now on Apple Podcasts, part of the Acast Creator Network.